Hey guys, Creator Mom. So earlier this month, I shared some videos about, I wasn't specific about the difficulty that or problem that I had encountered. Um, but I was just thinking, like, if I'm going to post about like the problem or, that I should post that I also kind of not, I don't want to say got a miracle, but let's just say something that people would have said shouldn't happen or wasn't going to happen, like ended up happening. So I just want to like say this like very humbly. I made a video but didn't post it about becoming overexcited when good things happen. Um there's a fear lurking in my subconscious mind when that tries to tell me that if good things happen to me or I accomplish something that was seemingly like impossible or doesn't happen for everyone or just kind of rare that had nothing to do with me, and basically that I shouldn't take any credit for it and that I shouldn't talk about it, um, because if I do, then like bad things are going to happen to me or something like that. It's a fear that doesn't want me to celebrate my wins, celebrate my accomplishments. It wants me to disregard myself, disregard everything I do, especially if it's a good outcome. You know, how fucked up is that? We blame ourselves when we have negative outcomes, but when we have positive outcomes, we disregard ourselves. Like, what kind of shit is that? It's a lose-lose situation. And yes, there is programming involved. And yes, the narcissistic parent has to do with that. But like I am aware, now I am awake. Thank God. So that means that I have power. I have the power to say, "Oh, that's that's a maladaptive belief, and let's change that. Let's let that go." Just by acknowledging, wow, I realize I have this maladaptive belief that says don't get too happy. Don't celebrate your wins because bad things are going to happen. And I have to let that go and say that is not true. That's a false belief that no longer serves me, and create my adaptive belief, which is everything is always working out for me in the best possible ways. And I am powerful and I can share my wins. Sharing my wins and celebrating my wins keeps me in the loop of wins, because maladaptive belief was trying to tell me that celebrating my wins would bring destruction in my life. I wonder how many people out there experience those emotions. So celebrating my wins will bring more wins for me, because I will no longer disregard myself. I will regard myself highly because I am one with God. I am one spirit with God. He is in me and I am in him. We're not separate. So it's not as if me taking credit and saying, wow, look what I've done, like I believed, is not taking any credit away from any God. I think it could be a learned thing from having a narcissistic parent, because when you say, hey, look at me, yeah, look what I did, you take attention away from them. You steal away their superiority as where you're supposed to be inferior. So inferior people don't say, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? But we no longer are assuming the role of an inferior person like the narcissistic parent would want us to believe. And I believe that our parents are our first example of God, if you will, something like that. Don't quote me on it, but there's something there. They're the first entity that we know, in my opinion. Although some people know and feel God when they are quite little. I don't remember that, but for me, it was probably like, I know I felt God like around 9 or 10, like, no, maybe like 10, 11, 11, 12. Um, well, not even that I felt God, it was just like, I was accepting the idea of God, and I was accepting Jesus, the idea of Jesus. Um, I started going to a Methodist church. It was all in Spanish though, so I couldn't really understand that much. But I went anyway. I don't know why. It must have just been the presence, like whatever. I don't really know why I went, but I did. I guess I just felt like it was a positive thing for me. Um, I was never forced to go to church, thank God. So I never had to deal with like a narcissistic religious parent, which I don't know. That's probably way worse. You know what I'm saying? But thank God that that wasn't there, because that can really fuck you up, I think, especially with thoughts of hell and stuff like that. I can't imagine having those thoughts and fears as a young adult. That's terrifying. So thankfully, I didn't have to deal with that. And the sermons were in Spanish a lot. I don't even remember thinking about hell when I went to this Methodist church for the short time that I did with my godmother. But these feelings of, you better not get too proud, or you better not state your wins, or you better not be too, proud of yourself, I don't necessarily think comes from church, because like I said, I didn't grow up religious. It might have came from my mother, who was the outside entity in that situation. So, because she was superior to everyone. So, yeah, I've been, after my win today, the thing that happens, so yeah, just like follow up, the thing that I was looking for people for encouragement for, like checking the outer world, like, oh, I have this situation and I was denied this, like, what can I do? And everybody's like, oh, sorry, it doesn't look like there's much you can do. Well, I know, then I realized, I was like, oh my God, I made that video about, I'm looking to the outer world to tell me what I can do and what I can't do, or like what's possible and what's not possible. Because I was looking for somebody to tell me like it's possible. As so that was a mistake. I had to look inside. Of course, God said it's possible, and He told me, whatever, God within. I know it's not like when I say He, it doesn't mean it's a man. You know what I mean? But God said, go back and try again. He told me when. He said, go on the last day of August at this time. And I went at that very time, and I was doing well throughout the day. Like, I was getting a little bit anxious about going, but I felt I felt a lot of God's presence the whole day. And driving there, like, I was getting a little bit stressed. I was like, just imagining myself already walking out with the paperwork that I needed. So, all right. So then I get there, it all goes down, blah, blah. Like, I get what I needed, is the end of the story. And I just had to, like, I've been processing that for a couple hours, because, again, as soon as things went successfully, I was like, oh my God, whoa. I felt myself not wanting to get like too excited because of that fear that was trying to tell me, don't get too worked up about it. Like the other shoe's gonna drop or whatever. So yeah, I figured if I'm gonna share my struggles, I should share my victories too. You know, it can't just all be like negative or one thing. And so yeah, I want to share my victory with you guys. I want to say that the issue that the problem has been resolved, and I thank God for that. I thank myself. I thank the lady who helped me. Thank God for her too. So yeah, all in all, a good situation, and I just decree and declare that acknowledging my wins, acknowledging my power will keep me in that loop. I'm gonna reject the lies about it bringing destruction. It's crazy. All right, guys, love, right? Fear brings torment.